jive with what Trump has said about Taiwan should be paying the U.S. for protection?
Well, I think that there's a who knows what the reason why he said that. Okay, so we don't really know, but there is a feeling that Taiwan needs to be doing more for its own self-defense, and I laid that out in my article as well. Right now, it's spending about 2.45% of its GDP on the defense. Poland is going up to 5%, 4 or 5% of its GDP. Several other countries in Europe are going upward because of the Russian threat. Japan is going to be at 2% in the next few years. So they're trying to argue that here in Taiwan that they're doing more than most of the other Asian countries. But again, going back to Israel has been spending 5% of its GDP for the last 40 plus years on its defense. So there's an expectation in Washington that Taiwan should be closer to the 5%. President Trump has said 10%. Elbridge Colby has also referenced 5 to 10% as well. So that's part of the reason why I think there's a push to get Taiwan to invest more in its defense, not only in weapon systems but also in training its people. In my opinion, that there's a lot more training that should be done for its reservists. For example, the 1.6 million reservists, only about 10% actually get any training after they finish their conscription.
As I understand, there's a lot of resistance to increasing the amount of training required. Why is that?
Okay. So I think that was a comment that was made maybe a few years ago when the training, the 1 week training, which was going on, was not worthy of the time that they would participate in. But I think the intervention of the United States military in their active duty and the reserve training has dramatically changed the quality and the let's say the impact of the training. So the 2 week training, for example, has a lot more attempts to train groups of military personnel instead of just focusing on, let's say, shooting or basic review of their skills. I think that as more and more of the training becomes more tactically oriented and a better quality, a lot of the Taiwanese people I spoke to who went through it are saying that it has improved since let's say a few years ago. And that includes the conscription training as well. And then, of course, there's the active force, the force that's volunteer, the 180,000 volunteers like we have in the United States. We have a volunteer force as well. Those folks are the ones who are really on the front line because they're committed to a lifelong service for the defense of Taiwan. So I think in general, if you ask anyone who's in either any of those different military categories, that they will say that everything is getting better. Now the question is whether it's getting better fast enough. I don't know. I do know that it was President Trump who approved lethal training to the Ukrainians in 2017, whereas the previous administration under Obama refused to permit the United States military from training the Ukrainians in lethal force. So I think that with Trump back, I think that we'll see a lot more emphasis on getting more training, more numbers, and more weapons to Taiwan, especially in the asymmetric arena. Anti-ship, anti-air, anti-tank, all these sort of systems that were used a lot in Ukraine, because I think probably the notion that Taiwan probably has enough of the more expensive weapon systems, and now they want sort of systems that are dispersed and tactical and hard to target. and that will be able to sustain themselves. If a war happens, they'll be able to use them and make the PLA suffer as much as possible from any kind of attack on Taiwan.
Thank you for watching. A link to G-Man's recent article is below. And this was just one short highlight from our hour-long podcast. The full interview is available exclusively on our website, ChinaUncensored.tv. And when you subscribe to our website, you'll also get premium China Uncensored episodes, live streams, and a community chat with me, Shelley, Matt, and hundreds of subscribers. And most importantly, you'll be supporting content you love. Check it out. Just click right here.